Hello and welcome. So, you know how I made multiple videos talking about how PvP is actually good. Like in the first PvP video I made, I talked about the PvP update, which I called mid because it didn't add much. But in my opinion, PvP mode is really good. So today, something got recommended to me by, YouTube. It's by WHYUOJ. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He has a little over 1000 subscribers. He made a video called TDX PVP Kinda Sucks. There's a lot of comments here not agreeing with him, and there's a fair share of dislikes, so why not react to it? I am currently working on the biggest video that I have ever made. The longest, most detailed video I ever made, so with that taking quite a bit of time, why not react to a video? So let's begin.
Yo, so yeah, TDX PVP is out, and I don't know, bro. I honestly criticized the game modes, what competitiveness, and then many people called me stupid. I insulted their favorite tower defense game, right?
Yeah, because the people are fucking stupid. What can you say, bro?
TDX PVP, and I think we're the battle
hostile as fucking community.
Now, I think one of the biggest issues of TDX PVP is just nothing you do really has any sort of consequence whatsoever. I could just choose not to eco early game, right? And it's just not gonna matter. Right? I can have an extra 10k cash early game. It just doesn't matter, right? Maybe it matters a little bit, but it doesn't matter that much, because what ends up happening is you're just gonna make it to late game, and then any sort of eco diff early game is just gonna become irrelevant, right?
Pause. He's right. He's genuinely right. You cannot argue against this. The thing is, he said no skill expression. I do not properly agree with this, because you can't snowball economy. It becomes difficult, impossible to outplay. The thing is, he's right on the economy part, because although you having the economy option, there is an optimal economy thing that you can do, and when your opponent also knows that, there is no way of outplaying them, because every economy tower in the game is banned. Farm, yeah, you can use farm, but it's 30% more expensive, so good luck using farm. Golden mobster, it's banned. Oil derrick, it's banned. So you cannot properly out economy your opponent if your opponent knows how the enemy is sending works. So if your opponent just did a research, or just watched a video explaining how the economy works in TDX, you just cannot out economy them, because they already know how the game functions. So besides that, no skill expression, I don't really agree with this fully, because there's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of towers that you can pick, and although there being a lot of more optimal towers, for example, Ghost is pretty much the best early game tower in PvP. It's not even a question properly. It's Ghost is just better, but mid to late game, there's a lot of different things that you can choose. There's a lot of different power-ups that you can pick from, which all do different things. So no skill expression, I don't fully agree with this.
You're limited not by the cash you have, but rather the time you have, and you and your opponent have the same time when it comes to economy.
Yeah, you and your opponent have the same time, because
about cash. It's not if I had $10,000 more dollars, I would have been able to eco more. No, it's if you had 10 more seconds, you would have been able to eco more, and you guys both have the same amount of time. So no matter how much you outplay, and get more cash than your opponent, it just does not matter, because you're never limited by cash. You're limited by time. Right, and I think this plays into my second point, which is literally, it's a waiting.
A waiting game.
Because nothing deadly that you can send
Pause.
is really
waiting game, because you can't outplay most of the game. Is just waiting for the deadly waves that can kill you. Now, before listening to his argument, this is also right. Why are you attacking this guy? He's right, no? On early game, as I said, sending isn't a valid source, because although, for example, in tower battles, PvP mode, while you can actually send meaningful things, in late game, there is necromancer bosses that actually mean something. There's boss 4, there's boss 3, those actually mean something, so sending them is valid at late game. At mid game, there's lavas, hidden bosses, you can send many things, and at early game, there is hiddens if your opponent doesn't have hidden detection. There's you can spam slows, you can spam normal enemies, because they matter. You can spam bosses, it's actually meaningful. But in TDX, the waiting game, because you can't outplay, most game is just waiting for the deadly wave. That is right. After wave 45, you can send Alpha Predator, which is the deadly enemy in TDX. Before that, there is no practical worth it enemy. Like, the only thing that comes to my mind is like, if your opponent is using one type of thing, for example, golden damage towers like Refractor, you can send really golden resistant towers. That is the only thing that you can send to them. Besides that, you cannot properly send anything to your enemies. Like, there is no outplaying them, there is no doing anything before a boss wave, which happens at late game. Watch other people's PvP runs. Like, if they die early game, it's either because of a stupid I used full golden juggernauts and somebody used golden resistant type thing. Besides that, you cannot kill somebody. There's no good bosses to send. There's no good enemies that are worth enemies to send. Like, I did a video going over all the enemies that you should use. But there's a lot of valid options that you can use, but like on the mid game area, it's really empty. Besides economy ones that you can use, mid game, it's not that worth it to send. It's kind of useless. It practically is a waiting game till you get into wave 45, and wave 45 onwards is actually where the PvP and the sending actually begins. But it's a waiting game because getting to wave 45 actually takes like 40 minutes.
Because if I send something that's deadly and makes my opponent stop send, well, it doesn't really matter because they can just start ecoing no matter what. Nothing you send has any sort of consequence unless it kills them. So basically, the game is just wait until the wave in which you can kill them at, whether or not it's Lava Rush or it's Alpha Predator, and then just send that rush. That's all the game is. It's waiting.
Yeah.
You wait until the wave they die at, and then you send. And even if you do something really slow, I'm sure you could probably not eco for the first 5 waves. Right, and you'd just be perfectly fine. Like, it just does not matter, right? And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that
Pause.
Start with
I think he's talking about how you can just not eco for the early game and it wouldn't matter. Like, is it completely true? No, because in early game you will have an easier time if you eco properly because you will just have more money coming to you. So like, for example, at the beginning you can send normal droids, but like you can just wait 5 waves and send heavy droids. Would actually sending normal droids for 5 waves actually make that much of a difference in your economy? No, your economy doesn't change that much, but like even that little change is meaningful. No, I think it's meaningful, but like tying it to the waiting game point of this, it doesn't really have that much of an effect because like as he said, I'm losing my train of thought, fucking hell. Holy shit, I lost my train of thought. Okay, we continue.
an extra 10k cash, or you could just choose to play extremely bad, and you're still fine. You still it just does not matter. There's nothing you can do of any sort of consequence within the game. And I think my third...
Yeah, you know why he's right? Because, as I said, besides wave 45 plus, you sending doesn't really matter. And with early game not having any good sending options to your opponent or for your opponent to send you, it doesn't really matter, yeah. Yeah, economy, yeah, you will have an easier time setting up other economy sources or just upgrading your towers. But is it going to be deadly? No, because there is no proper thing that they can punish you with,
Point, right? Which also... I guess I wouldn't hold it against TDX developers too much because I think it's just
map difference
and they're gonna fix it.
What?
None of the maps are fucking symmetrical, right? You could see there's a difference here between this box and this box.
They're not.
You could also see there's this placement area, right? Which red team has, which the other team doesn't have.
Holy shit, it is? What? What? Oh, I didn't know that.
And, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. They haven't fixed this on release, but it's whatever. I'm not gonna hold it against them. I'm assuming it's going to get fixed, as well as factory not being symmetrical, but also just in general.
Factory's not symmetrical? Holy shit. Dude, how the fuck is this in the game? John, what are you doing? Oh, this is so bad. Holy shit, this is genuinely so bad. Oh shit, bro. Oh fucking hell. Oh, they're not symmetrical. Oh, this is so bad. Imagine both of you use, for example, War Machine and Behemoth, which needs big openings. Because of the map difference, your opponent can just place them because there's a fucking empty ground on the map. But in your side, there's a fucking hill, so you cannot. What the fuck is that? What is that? John, come on, just this shouldn't be difficult. Just make them symmetrical. The roads still have the same length, and fucking hell, that's a stupid thing on their side. Come on, this is really easy to fix. Come on, this should have been something that shouldn't even exist. This should have just been something that was fixed. What is this, bro? Come on.
Right, the fact that the leftmost map takes priority over the right, it makes it extremely boring because you could only prepare for incursion, right? Because that's the only map that's forced. And also, you can't really choose like your loadout after the map is picked. So that just decreases skill overall. As well as not being able to like choose your loadout for the map. You're also not able to like choose your play style for like their sense. You can't see your opponent's sense. I don't think this is like a huge issue, but I think it would be nice if
Pause. The point he's making here isn't that valid in my opinion, because in what game can you change your loadout according to the map? Like in no game you can do it. In tower battles you can't do that. Like the father of tower defense games, the father of PvP in tower defense games, tower battles, you cannot do that. Like in TDS, I guess you can do that. But like no, not even TDS, you can't do that shit. In normal game of TDS, I think you can change your loadout. But in PvP, I don't think you can. Yeah, it's just, I don't want to use the word, but a nothing burger argument, this one he's making. No shade to you, man, but that is genuinely not that important. No game allows you to change your loadout according to the map. That would take importance from the game itself. Because on a normal game, your loadout should be flexible enough that it could work on a lot of maps, on all 4 maps. So like changing your loadout specifically to the maps would just rip purpose from the game, rip function from the game. That's not a good idea, don't do that. No.
you could see your opponent's sense. Considering that, like, if you don't see your opponent's sense, you just have to assume they have everything. And if you assume they have everything, then you just have to do the same exact thing every single game. Whereas, if you could see your opponent's sense, well then, hey, maybe you can play a little bit differently. Maybe you can do a little bit different things, right? Now, like, I'm just gonna put this out there. I think like TDX is like one of the lowest intelligence communities that like I've ever interacted with.
Completely agree with him. TDX is completely fucking sucks.
Right, where I just did like very, very basic math, just saying like these are the optimal farming levels. I'm pretty sure it's outdated now, but I got so much hate. Like everyone was saying, oh well, that's not the way I farm. Where everyone has like their own farming method, and yours is just wrong. And most of them were just like incorrect.
Yeah, they're incorrect.
It was kind of ridiculous how
there's an optimal way of doing things, dude. Like, what do you mean there's like you can do different? Yeah, you can do a lot of different things in the game, but like there's always some optimal thing. Like in Golden Juggernaut, 4-2 is the most optimal level to spam. In farming, for example, like you can just like do 2-4 farms and that's the most optimal. I don't know. Or like I don't know, like sending this enemy in PvP is more optimal than this enemy. Those are valid options. That is how economy works. That's how the game works. There's always going to be some more optimal thing to do. Yeah, there can be things that are both equally optimal. That doesn't make one not optimal, But what the fuck is that? What the fuck is the argument here? What the fuck? You can't just go and say to the guy who made a how to farm in TDX video, well, I farm differently. Then you're fucking stupid and you're wrong. If optimally farming is this, and you just don't do that and shit talk the guy who actually calculated that, what the fuck is your problem?
Like people were like in denial about like basic math. I don't even know how to respond.
Yeah, what are they denying, dude?
And also, like, again, like I said, like the game mode was kind of boring, and then everyone's, oh my god, like there's plenty of deadly things in the game. Now, in terms of comparison to TB, I think TDX does have infinitely more content. I think all survival game modes are infinitely better than tower battles. However, I just think the TDX PvP mechanic.
That is something that you can say because of how more advanced TDX is compared to tower battles. All the game modes that TDX has is infinitely better than tower battles, which I do not agree with. In my opinion, tower battles' original game mode is top 3 best game modes of any tower defense game pretty much ever. So like, I don't agree with that.
I think it's really bad, and if you're looking for anything competitive, it's not going to be with TDX. Now, on the other hand, how I would personally fix TDX PvP, I think the biggest issue is you cannot snowball economy. Now, you could make super expensive but also cost-effective sends early on. That would be one solution, because then you're no longer capped by time, but you're rather capped by cash. Another issue might be you could re-add Oil Derrick into PvP and also change farm, and you'd probably want to rebalance both those towers.
But I talked about this, and yeah, eco is a big part in TDX, and like with not allowing economy towers to be used in PvP, you're just decreasing what PvP is and what TDX is. You're reducing TDX's complexity. Yeah, we already have an eco mechanic implemented into PvP via sending enemies, which can exist, but as he said, you cannot snowball via the sending enemies. And he's right, you cannot snowball with them. So like, why not add the fucking economy towers? Like you said, economy towers would be way too broken. No, straight up no. You know why? There's one reason. If, for example, your opponent was limited to just sending enemies and you had an economy tower, it would be broken because you would just have so much more economy than them. But if economy towers are allowed in a TDX match, everybody is guaranteed to have an economy tower in their loadout, so it's not going to be broken because everybody will have some sort of economy tower. And like you all said, how it is impossible to balance, it is just not impossible to balance. What are you on? Like Oil Derrick practically functions the same way as sending economies. The built-in economy mechanic is practically Oil Derrick, so adding Oil Derrick wouldn't be broken, it could function completely well. Golden Mobster. Yeah, Golden Mobster cash generation is too overpowered. But you know how you can solve that? Like, nerf Golden Mobster perhaps. Or just reduce his placement limit. Like, look at Helicopter. You can normally place like 7 helicopters, but like in PvP you can only place 2 of them. Why not do the same thing to Golden Mobster? Like, make his placement limit 2, perhaps 3, and just implement it into PvP mode. Why not do these things? You're actively limiting players' economy for no reason. Like, these are potentially risky things to do because if you fuck up economy, PvP is going to be ruined and it's not going to be fun. So it needs to have a good balance, because if Oil Derrick is, for example, so much better than Golden Mobster, everybody's gonna use Oil Derrick and Golden Mobster users wouldn't be having fun because their tower would be just useless. Or otherwise, if Golden Mobster is so much better than Oil Derrick, then just the game is going to be ruined. But like, as a developer of the game, I think you should be able to balance these things out. An economy tower, if it is better than the other economy tower, you should be able to balance them, you know. The saying that economy towers cannot be implemented into PvP is just fucking wrong. They can. They straight up can, bro.
Make it such that they're both balanced. They don't give you an insane amount of economy. However, they do give you a decent amount of economy, and they are worth investing in.
Yeah.
And it's basically,
completely agree with what
these towers will uncap your economy through time, right? You're no longer capped by time, but you're actually capped by the money you have when speaking of like how much you can actually eco, right? So really, you can add like, you know, eco towers that are actually viable into the game and rebalance them, or you can add, you know, sends that do not cap you by the time you have, but rather cap you by the cash you have, right? I think any of these changes would just add skill expression into TDX. I also think early game does need a few more challenging rushes. I think mid game does have pretty challenging rushes.
Early game needs to be changed by a significant margin. Yeah, early game, like the waiting game argument that he made is really right in my opinion. Early to mid game, there's practically no skill expression. You cannot send, like you can send, but like they're meaningless. Like what would be the point of sending if what you're sending is just useless? So yeah, in my opinion, early game to mid game should also be changed. Yeah,
late game does. I think early game needs more challenging rushes. I think that's the main issue with TDX. As long as there is some form of skill expression, early game to mid game, late game, right? I think the game can become much more competitive than what it is currently.
And the video ends here. Okay. Like, look at this comment. Love Kirong, your loadout's ass, bro. Yeah, the waiting game is a problem at like 1.2. Yeah, some maps are stupid as well. Love you wrong, your loadout. What are you saying, bro? This is coming from a cheater and an alt-tab user, by the way. Proof? Basically, every single point is flat out stupid. Like, do I really? The only true point GM in this early game sense can be harmful. What are you on, bro? What the fuck? I genuinely can't even be fucking bothered, bro. We might straight up have Tower Battles meet right in the room. Fuck you mean? Tower Battles PvP is the best PvP mode in the fucking Roblox community. In the entire Roblox Tower Defense game, Tower Battles is the best PvP out there. What do you mean Tower Battles meet right? Fuck off, gang. Your point on sense not being punishing and can only be kill people isn't true. Big ranger bot rushes and all sort of rushers can be countered. But towers often die with a lot of money. Towers do not fucking die. Towers do not die mid-game. Like, just place a few medics, just place a shield tower. You cannot kill towers with rushes, dude. You're flat out fucking wrong. You say the game mode doesn't require you to use my strategical thinking, but relatable. Yeah, perhaps right on this one. You also said you can just not send any eco, you'll be fine. Yeah, you are. Like, he didn't say you can just not send any eco enemies and you'll be fine. You can like skip some sections of economy sending and you will be fine. You're stupid, bro. You're genuinely stupid. So yeah, those were my opinions on TDX PVP kind of going over my guys' ideas. PvP is a good game mode in my opinion. PvP as a mode is really fucking good. The thing is though, it can always be improved. And the things that he mentioned in this video are the things that PvP isn't good at. So like early game, like the skill expression, the waiting game argument, the maps being different from each other, those are really valid arguments. And those things are the flaws of Tower Defense X's PvP mode. And like, although being a good mode, it can always be improved, and like that is a good way of improving it now. So yeah, I am really busy making something generationally big. The video is going to be like an hour long, fucking hell. So like, yeah, here we go. I got this video reacting to TDX PVP Kinda Sucks, which I do not think it kinda sucks, but you made good points. So again, I was your host HD, and thanks for watching. By the way, also go and sub to this guy. Like, a lot of comments just hated on my guy for no fucking reason. People are stupid. The point where he mentioned the community of TDX being stupid, he's completely right. People are genuinely stupid in TDX's community. Like, there's a lot of good people, but there's also a lot of bad people. So go and subscribe to him as well. He's a good guy. Anyways, see you later. I'm out.